Today we're catching some sun and waves with Lori, a QHS member whose life is as vibrant and refreshing as a seaside breeze. What currents brought her to the sunny shores of the quantum shift? Let's surf behind the scenes to see the waves she's been riding.
Hello, my name is Lori. I'm from Vermont, although I'm recording this from California, visiting my children. And I was born in 1960 in Fort Knox, Kentucky, which I mentioned specifically so that you get the joke that when in 1960 we were still on the gold standard. And I think it's fortuitous that I was born into this high vibrational place where all the gold was stored. And my vibration is already ready and set to be fully abundant with our RV and all the good that I can do with the funds afterwards. It's something I've wanted to do since I was at least 40. Now I'm 64 turning, and I've always known I wanted to add to the good. An idealist in nature, and have overcome a lot in my life to be here now and be here at this time. So I started, my ancestors were primarily from England and Ireland, although they must have had a past life in Scotland because I do like a man in a kilt. My mother's family was a long line of teachers, teacher of the year, grammar school teachers. My mother was very good learning disabilities teacher, and my uncle, very wonderful professor in many different colleges. They also, on this side of the family, on the Blackwell side, I am a relation to Elizabeth Blackwell, who was the first woman doctor in America and England. She was a pioneer. She was accepted into med school at a time where there were no women allowed to go to med school. She was accepted into med school as a joke, thinking she would never be able to make it. She would have to drop out, and that she was like top of the class. So they had to keep her. And then when she graduated, no one would give her a job. So she moved to England, France, and she could only be hired as a nurse. She taught the nurses how to do procedures that she could do, like drawing blood and whatnot. And then when she moved back, her sister had also followed her and gone to med school. So they started the first women's and children's hospital in New York City. So I do have this innate desire to be a healer. Part of me, though I'm shy in nature, has known since I was probably in my late 30s that I wanted to be a humanitarian, that I wanted to be so abundant that I could give freely and vastly, used my abundance for good. I've been in the RV since 2012, and it has evolved, so I have different and more funds than I did before, and I look forward to it all beginning. And I used to bemoan the delay, but now I'm really glad for the delay, because in that delay, I have done more internal healing to myself, which you'll hear about what I had to overcome. And I'm ready for it. I feel worthy of adding to the good, of being abundant, being free of pain, which I'll talk about, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically. I was very healthy growing up. I didn't have any issues. I had fast metabolism. I was very healthy. The only thing I started to get when I went to college is I started to get very painful feet. I started to get neuromas, which are inflamed nerves between the bones, and I had to have many operations to take them out, only to have them grow back. So that was painful. I did many different things, cortisone shots, like I said, different operations, taking out bunions and different things, trying to give myself room in the feet. Also, I had what I had at that time when I was in the later 20s, when I was trying to get pregnant, I had trouble releasing the eggs, so I had to have help with that, with taking shots, and I was lucky enough to be able to have children, and I had a daughter and twins, so I had 4 children, 3 children under 4. When I got divorced, we left their dad in my early 30s. So after I left, I had no pain in my body. But shortly after I left, I would say within a year or 2, I started having, also I trained, I forgot to say, I went to school, I got a master's in counseling in my early 20s. And I trained as a shaman. I started training as a shaman, a shamanic practitioner in my early 40s, and have done many spiritual modalities, learned many spiritual modalities, and been in many different groups and programs. All to, I used it to help others, but also mainly to help myself. Because in my early 30s, after I got divorced, I suddenly had very visceral, real memories of abuse by my maternal grandfather and also my father. And when I wasn't going to tell, I tell this only because I wasn't going to tell my parents or even my father, because it's over what can be done, but I wanted to protect. I had 3 young girls at the time, remembering, and had 2 young nieces. So I called my sisters and my sister and brother together, and sister-in-law, to tell them what had happened to me, what I had remembered. I asked them not to tell anyone. I didn't want them to tell my parents, and I just wanted to let them know that I wouldn't be leaving my kids over to sleep over anymore by themselves. Now that I had remembered, they were quite young still, and I probably hadn't left them alone yet, but I was like, I'm not doing that. I just want to let you know I couldn't live with myself if I didn't tell you. So I told them, and they promised not to tell. And then I find out a couple years later, they've told, and for the next 40 years, I was not believed, and also held against and persecuted and completely just disowned, but not fully. That's hard to explain, but they didn't want it to be public that I was disowned, but they just basically didn't invite me to weddings, didn't leave me anything in the wills, and all these kind of things. So that is not the point. The point of the story is to say that these issues of I used to say I felt like I was an orphan with an alive family, to not be believed. The abuse is one thing, and it's hard enough to deal with that would happen in your own family, but to not be believed is probably the most soul-crushing thing. Not be believed and yet still punished for it. It's just horribly soul-crushing. So my projects, once the RV happens, I have a thick thing of projects that I wish to do one day. All tie in with and I have physical issues, obviously, I want to have healed, and I'm looking forward to that. But my issues, the things I want to focus on, that I'm hoping I can collaborate with, connections we make once we are talking face to face with the white hats, is how to heal the templates of the mind, how to heal the templates of the soul, how to heal the templates of the heart, the emotions. And because I have pain now, so I didn't have pain the whole time that I had kids until they left. And, 10 years ago, they all went off to schools and graduated schools and moved to California and moved to Charleston. And I started getting arthritis in my hands, early arthritis. My legs started not working, and they're filled with pain, although it's neuroplastic pain, because it's not anything caused by, I don't have a bad hip or a bad knee. It's not in the hip or knee. It's in the muscles that are in the psoas, in the IT. They're all connected to this area where I had a lot of betrayal and a lot of no support. So my story is I've spent 40 years connecting to our true origins, our true mother and father God, our true galactic brotherhoods and sisterhoods, and knowing that we're all part of the same family of one, and yet somehow disconnected from it. So I would like to be a bridge, a galactic bridge, I call it. I made it up. But I would like to be someone who can say, look, I look like a normal person, but here is so-and-so who you all know died, and here they are in form. I want to be a person who is able to say we're more, but to really prove it. So I have to have evidence of that, which is what I'm hoping will happen. Once we have our contact and with the QArc and with the people that we're working with, that we hear about, I want to be able to say, I've worked with them directly. Here they are. Here is this person that you know is dead, and yet they're here. How can that be? It must be that they are a spiritual being. And I always say that you're playing a character in this life, just like Tom Hanks played Forrest Gump. He's not Forrest Gump, it's a character he's playing it. That's kind of how I see our lives here. I have one self, the part of me that's one with one. And I want to reconnect to that. And I want to be a bridge between who we are and where we've been and where people are now, and say, look, here I am in the middle. I'm not a Martian or alien, but I know that we are this, and come and join me, and you can still be normal. And you can heal yourself. So I want to heal myself of this neuroplastic pain. I got, as soon as I told my mother the last time I was with her in 2016 that I wasn't going to play this game anymore. She was an extreme narcissist on top of everything else. She told me I ruined her life. What happened to me ruined her life, and didn't care about me and how I was coping. I just said that maybe we can just end like friends, just like it's the end of the movie, and you don't know what happens after, but everything's fine. Let's just move along. I'm just hoping that this will all come together. So my pain started after I left. Her pain and her legs started after I left. And so it's almost like I'm punishing myself. I've done all sorts of work with the books of Dr. Carolyn Leaf, all about neuroplasticity. I've worked with Curable about neuroplastic pain. I know a lot of my pain is in my head, that has to do with feelings of being invisible or feelings of unworthiness. It's kind of hard to feel you're worthy when your entire family literally turns their back on you. It says, I don't care what happened to you. I don't believe it. I don't care. And care if you live or die. So I've had to deal with two things at once, knowing I'm not the character, and then having my ego tell me, isn't that horribly sad? And look at that, your legs aren't working. Isn't that, fix yourself. So it's just all kind of, I think I would be sympathetic to everyone's skepticism and also their deep shame and pain of being human. So that's the kind of things I want to address, that I'm hoping that the QArc will help me with. Just set my template back. Like I was once told when I was 27, when I was literally fighting suicide. Did I say that I was suicidal? I didn't have pain in that period. I don't know if I said this. I didn't have pain in the period of having kids and when they left. But I dealt with internal pain of having a family turn their back on me and literally abandon me and not support and not be mad at the persons or people that did something to me, but instead hold it against me. So I turned it inward, and I just thought I was nothing. If they didn't care about me, then I must be nothing. They say that blood is thicker than water, and my blood doesn't give a crap about me, and kind of left me to die. When I told them I was suicidal one time, they didn't call me for 4 months, hoping somehow I would be gone when it was over. But I'm still here. I know I'm here for a reason. I know I'm here for the millions of people who have suicidal thoughts, who think that no one would miss them, who feel unworthy, unloved, unseen, who feel like they're black sheep. I've done a lot to take myself out of victim mentality, but it's a hard road, and I did it every day for 20 years. I was 30, 40 years. I was psychologically minded. That's my mindset. I was built that way, and yet it was so difficult for me. I'm wanting somehow the galactics to work with me and figure out ways to shift the mental, the physical, the heart, the past lives, resolve them so that it doesn't take everyone 40 years, because some people don't make it. Some people kill themselves. And when I hear anyone either committed suicide or they found them trying to, I just instantly cry, because I know what it feels like to feel like your kids, your family would be better off without the sadness of you, and trying so hard, feeling that there's no way you can fix yourself. So I'm just hoping that somehow we can all work together, and first I can be the good example of someone who, when I think I started to say, when I had my reading with this woman I still work with, Lil Magdalena, the Nameless Ones, I was like 27 years old. I had just come off of a very serious attempts of trying to kill myself. This is before I had kids. I didn't kill myself, so when I had kids, I would always stop and stay and say, okay, I'll try a little bit longer, because I didn't want to leave them. But she told me at the time that I came here for the coming together of the ages. I came here specifically so that I would, and I wouldn't have been here if I hadn't planned it so well. I came here for this time. So I know that I'm here for a reason, that I stayed for a reason, that there's good things that I can do, that I can make the world easier than it has been for so many of us, whatever our stories are, painful stories. Like Brene Brown says, every person has a story that would break your heart. I want to change that so that, like, the broken-hearted story can be at least, like, eliminated or dissolved, so it doesn't affect the cells. It doesn't cause pain. It doesn't cause illness. It doesn't cause, there's only so much the human mind can do. I'm looking forward to things that will help us make that shift without 40 years of intense trying. So anyway, I don't know how much time this has been. And now I didn't go with my notes at all. I knew there was something at the end of what are my views about the world. Am I optimistic? Yes, I'm very optimistic. I'm very excited for the time like this. I feel I'm on the edge of coming into myself. I was always hiding in the background because I know that pain is caused by certain thinking, and I was in the knees and legs and hips, everywhere it's been located has been fear of moving forward. I've been afraid of the future because it always got worse. Even though it was always bad, it always got worse. So I wanted to get out of the situation, but I didn't want it to get worse. So I just feel that I could be someone who overcame a black sheep label, black sheep mentality, victim mentality. I also loathe that label because you're blaming the victim instead of blaming the perpetrators. But I want to give them that leg up. Hopefully my projects will help to do that. Give them the knowing of who they really are and whose they really are. They're a beautiful and incredible being of the great mother and father, and they would have existed throughout time, and this is just one aspect of themselves, and not to let this fool them into thinking that they're nothing. They're something, and that's what I'm here to help remind them of.
Join us on the Prequel, where every story matters and every voice is heard. Because here at QHS, we're all about healing, learning, and growing together.